It's finished full time. Algeria 3, Somalia 1. I mean, just wanted to double check that was the score. Yes, it was Algeria 3, Somalia 1. And yes, we have won the Wallahi derby. But I tell you what, it doesn't bloody feel like that. I've never felt so mixed emotions about a win. It's the first World Cup qualifier since the big hoo-ha with Cameroon in Bleeder. And quite frankly, I found myself having the same stressful feeling when it was 2-1. I'm thinking, we're in Baraki, right? It's 2-1 at home to Somalia. I'm worried they're going to equalise. I'm thinking they're actually going to get back in the game and end our hopes of qualifying game 1. And we're going to have to start thinking about 2030 again. I'm genuinely a bit speechless as to how close that game was. There's about 130, 140 places in the FIFA rankings between the two sides. You wouldn't have guessed it based off of that performance. I genuinely don't know what to say. Like, so many mixed emotions. First of all, you have to say, you know, alhamdulillah, we've got the win, we got the 3 points. You'd rather get the points not playing well than playing amazing like the Cameroon game and not getting the win. So 3 points on the board, and as it stands right now, Algeria are very, very early on top of Group G, although based off of that, that could change at any time. So we're on 3 points. Mozambique also on 3 points. That's not good news for us. They won 3-2 away in Botswana in Francistown. So Algeria and Mozambique will both be going into the second game on Sunday at lunchtime, both on 3 points. That is looking like all of a sudden a really difficult game already at this World Cup qualifying stage. But this video is about the Somalia game. You know, people were throwing in 9-0, 10-0, 12-0. I said, you know, 5 or 6. Of course, we did put 8 past Djibouti, a bit similar to what Egypt did today. But we didn't even play a weak team. I was very, very adamant in the preview that we'd be resting players for the Mozambique game, because as you're watching this right now, the players are taking a private jet 10 hours down to Maputo to get ready for the Mozambique game. We played a pretty much strong team, and you've got to say, Belmadi respected Somalia. He didn't see it as a nothing game. He showed the respect. Mahrez captain, you know, Awar, Shaibi. He showed the respect. The respect was there. So I hope Somalia appreciate that. But honestly, for a team that has not played that much football, hasn't won for 4 years and stats like that, I really hope the Somali people are proud of that performance, because they were fantastic. It was competitive. It didn't look like it was men against boys. There were times where Algeria were on the back foot, and genuinely Somalia will feel disappointed that they only came away from the game with 1 goal. I mean, they hit the woodwork in the first half. Mandrea was forced into an unbelievable save at 1-0. There's something to build on. And I must add, before the game even kicked off, Somalia lost their captain to injury in the warm-up. So Abdi came and captained the side. I'm not stereotyping his name. He was called Abdi. He came in and captained. Unfortunately, he scored an own goal straight away. And I don't know if that affected the rhythm of the Somali, particularly the Somali defence, because captains come out in the warm-up, new captain, probably one of the better defensive players, and then they're conceded after a minute. Very weird. So let's talk about the Algeria starting lineup. Mandrea in goal. Didn't really feel the need to play Zugba in goal. I know he's conceded to Somalia. I know it doesn't sound great, but actually on the goal, Mandrea made an unbelievable save from Hassan. The hashtag United Hassan assisted Somalia's goal in our stadium. I don't. Hashtag player has done more in Baraki than a West Ham winger in Benrahma. It's just odd, isn't it? Yusuf Atal, his first football, his first start since the last international break. Obviously, the whole situation with Nice, and he only got 45 minutes. He was taken off at half-time. You could tell in that first half he really wanted to score. He was shooting. Yusuf Atal hit the post as well. The keeper was beaten. He didn't get anywhere near it, the goalkeeper, Mustaf. But unfortunately for Yusuf, it hit the post. It would have been a lovely moment if he'd scored a goal. I would have played Yusuf Atal the whole game. I know he wanted to rest him for the Mozambique game, but he's not played that much football, so 90 minutes under his belt may well have been good. Maybe because Atal is such an injury-prone player, he chose to withdraw him at half-time. Tugay and Mandy, I've never seen 2 centre-backs have so many touches of the football. The first 5 minutes, they were mocking it. Even Belmadi was mocking it, doing kick-ups and stuff like this on the touchline. Tugay and Mandy back to each other, back to Zarouki, back to Tugay, back to Mandy, back to Zarouki. That's what it was, a bit of a circus the opening 10 minutes. It's not great for Tugay when he didn't get a clean sheet against Somalia. And then, of course, Yasser Larouci, his first start for Algeria, I didn't think he was that good. I think he was raw. I think there's talent and ability there. I think in the future he will be better. I think the occasion got to him a little bit. He looked a little bit nervy. He ain't going to get an easier start for Algeria, by the way. Larouci starting at home to Somalia, especially in African football. It didn't look like he was that comfortable. And of course, Ait-Nouri had to be rested for the Mozambique game. So I can understand a makeshift back four. Larouci and two guy. And obviously Van den Kerkhoff coming on at half time. Three of the back four is a second choice back four. So you can understand why there'd be some defensive frailties in there. The rest of the team by Belmadi was very, very attacking. He went for Zarouki, Awar and Shaibi. That's a very attacking team. I really like Zarouki's performance today. He's a very Marmite hot and cold player. Some people love him, some people hate him. I'm warming to him a lot. He was everywhere. He was winning balls back. He was pinging balls. He had to do a lot of passes in the air. And the reason that it was not on the ground is because the pitch, the grass, particularly for a new ground, the stadium was horrendous. No wonder we can't host a tournament. That's supposed to be our best ground. And the conditions of the field were absolutely woeful. Like, genuinely awful. Like, the ball had to go in the air. It was bobbling. It was bouncing wrong. I can understand Belmadi's frustrations. The team couldn't even train on it. Somalia had the luxury of training on it. But even for them training on it, it must have been a poor condition. Mahrez on the right as captain. Guiri didn't play up front. He played on the left-hand side. And Baghdad Bounedjah played down the middle. And we're thinking, okay, we don't know what's going to happen here. And then all of a sudden, Somalia's first touch of the football is an own goal by Abdi, the captain. Shaibi does so well. I couldn't really tell if actually it was going in from Shaibi or not. Sort of, he done well, he put it across the goal, but it was put in by Abdi. 1-0, captain. Somalia's first touch, we're thinking this could be a cricket score here. And I genuinely think scoring so early changed the complexion of the game for both teams. Somalia, from minute 2, no longer needed to sit back. They may have been drilled and trained all week to get a point and play for a 0-0. They've conceded straight away. That game plan's out the window. Algeria thinking we're going to have a tough team to break down. Somalia broke them down for us themselves with the own goal. So then Mahrez, I thought, should have had a penalty. It wasn't given. And then all of a sudden, Somalia thinking, we're here now. We're playing, they're looking around, brilliant to see all the Palestinian flags around as ever. And FIFA didn't censor any of it. And, that was beautiful. MashaAllah, free Palestine. And then I think Somalia looks fancying like FIFA, CAF stuff. We're here. We're in the big time. Got a bit of confidence, popping it about, pace against our players that are slow. And then they've had a shot from distance. What a save from Mandrea. If like let's say a Mo Salah had hit that, we'd be saying it's an unbelievable effort. What a hit. They grew in confidence. And then Yusuf Artal does just about enough to put one of the Somali players off. They hit the post or hit the sort of the bar in the first half. And that was at 1-0. Anything could have happened. And one of the few touches Baghdad Bounedjah had in the game was a fantastic volley to make it 2-0. And that really calmed the nerves down going into half-time. But the reason Baghdad didn't have that many touches was because the Somali team did well in cutting off the supply to Baghdad, the player, not to Iraq. I mean, like, Bounedjah didn't touch the ball that much. If he did, he probably would have had a few more goals. Guiri wanted a penalty. Again, another player hauled at half-time. That's 3 starts for Guiri, no goals from the left. If that was Benrahma in the same position, there'd be a lot more criticism going his way. I'm not saying Guiri is bad and should be dropped. I'm just saying keep the same standards throughout the whole national team. Still yet to see a first goal from Guiri, but you suspect he will start the Mozambique game because he's been hauled at half-time like Artal and like Mahrez. But that Artal shot would have been nice if he'd scored it and then come off at half-time. Just before the interval, Awar scores, it's disallowed. Assistants putting the flag up, ref saying offside. There was no one remotely offside. The ball must have been adjudged to have been out of play. I thought the officiating was terrible. We could have had 3 penalties, maybe 4 on another day. I think the ref was from Mali. I think his name was Boo Boo. Yeah, poor officiating from Boo Boo. Not going to be my boo anytime soon, that's for sure. 3 clear pens, and he weren't even interested. And he was mocking it for the Adam Nurse one in the second half when he pointed to the spot, whistle blow, goal kick. Muppet. Anyway, Adam Nurse, Mohamed Amora, Kevin van den Kerkhoff came on at half-time. Understandably, it was not performance related. They're literally flying to Mozambique tonight, so they have to rest these players. That is a crucial game, considering how poor we looked. And I do think there was an element of Belmadi just wanted to get out of that game home and dry. No injuries, 3 points. He didn't care if it was 1-0, 2-1 or 10-0. Get the 3 points. Mozambique is the business. Mozambique is where you judge the game in the sort of conditions, what the AFCON will be like, the sort of opposition, of course, Mozambique will be at AFCON as well. Aouar, though, in that, particularly in the second half, after having that one disallowed, he had so many opportunities and shots. He had at least 7 or 8 shots. Just wasn't his day. On another day, he would have had a hat-trick. He's a real goal-scoring midfielder, isn't he? You can see why he got 2 against Cape Verde. He is fantastic. Boudaoui came on for Shaibi. I thought Boudaoui looked good when he came on. Again, Shaibi was very good, but you suspect Belmadi has rested him for the game against Mozambique. And then all hell breaks loose as Yusuf Ahmed equalises from a Hassan assist. It's actually a great save that Mandrea makes from Hassan. And Yusuf puts in Yusuf Ahmed puts in the rebound. And I think Somalia more than deserved a goal and could have had more than a goal on another day. Somalia, for me, have got to be looking at that mid-tier bracket of African teams and saying we can be in that. When they host Uganda in Morocco, Somalia should try and win the game. They've got absolutely nothing to fear. And I know they lost today. They will take bags of confidence going into that Uganda game. All of a sudden, Somalia beat Uganda, which they might. They did beat Zimbabwe, of course, in the last Qatari FIFA World Cup qualifiers. That's their level. I think that sort of Uganda, Botswana, maybe Mozambique, that's the bracket you see them in, you know? Like, they're not as bad. But because we've seen them so little, it's hard to judge. They're building a new team. So hats off to their manager. And then Slimani comes on for Bounedjah, and all of a sudden, in all amongst the madness, Slimani and Bounedjah both get on the score sheet. Adabounas, how he didn't get that penalty, I'm not too sure. It was stonewall for me, but he got his assist. How is Slimani? It's just a sign of a great striker. He's finding a way to score, not even starting games. He's finding a way to score. You could always rely on him to bag. He'd done it again, power header, and the irony is, he should have had 2. He somehow missed another header. He steered it wide when Amora did all the work from the left-hand side. But 3-1, that kills the game. It's a really important goal from Slimani, and trust me, the stadium was getting nervous by that point. Aouar played a little 1-2 with Slimani. Mustaf made a very good save from the Aouar free kick. Like I said, it just wasn't Aouar's day. But the highlight of the game, and I'm sure the Somali fans would agree, is when Slimani scores. He's run off. We're thinking, what's he doing? He's arguing again. He's moaning again. No, he's grabbing that Palestinian flag and he's waving it to the crowd. And that was a symbolic moment for me. So really, really good action there from Slimani, but just so many shots from Aouar. Full-time 3-1. Algeria sit top of Group G. Well, by 1 goal. Mozambique also have 3 points. Somalia and Botswana with 2 losses. Guinea will play Uganda tomorrow. That's in Morocco. That's also where Somalia will play Uganda. And then we move to Mozambique at the weekend. But of course, this wasn't the only game taking place today. Morocco was supposed to play a nation from East Africa as well. That got cancelled as they were scared the Eritreans were going to run off and never come back. So Morocco will be awarded a win for that. Quelle surprise. Really, really interesting football today. We spoke about Mozambique getting the 3-2 win away to Botswana. Botswana pipped them close and missed a penalty. And a 3-3 there would have been fantastic. Botswana scored that pen. It's a 3-3 draw. And all of a sudden, it's looking good. But Mozambique were missing their best player, Katamo, from Sporting Lisbon, which means he'll be missing from the Algeria game as well. What were Gambia doing? We love Gambia here. They lost to Burundi. Now, Burundi were hard done by just about pipped to the post to making AFCON by Namibia. But Gambia. If you want to go to the World Cup, you cannot afford to lose to Burundi. That's a cracking result for Burundi. They'll be happy with that. That gets some 3 points on the board. And of course, Algeria, as we have discussed already, beat Somalia by 3-1. Egypt beat Djibouti 6-0. And that's the sort of result people are expecting from the Somalia game. 4 goals for Mo Salah. I said he would stat pad, and he stat padded in style in a fairly empty Cairo International Stadium, perhaps a subdued atmosphere. With everything that's going on in the Middle East at the moment, there's not as much freedom of speech as there is in like Nelson Mandela Stadium with Palestinian flags, you know, Palestine Shuhada chanting. I don't think for whatever reason, General Sisi would be too happy with that happening in Cairo. But the big shock of the day is not even Somalia's unbelievable performance. Nigeria won, Lesotho won. Yes, Nigeria won, Lesotho won. Nigeria, okay, no Osimhen or whatever, he's injured, fine. That team, like Awonyi, Iwobi, these sorts of guys, started. They have drawn at home to Lesotho. In game one, they have pretty much put their World Cup status in jeopardy. They've already bottled it last time against Ghana in the Jollof Rice Derby. I know they drew both games, but they also didn't win either of the games. That is awful. I'm sorry, that's actually awful. How have they drawn at home to Lesotho? That is terrible. And South Africa will be licking their lips thinking, what an unbelievable opportunity we have. Because I'll tell you now, South Africa will beat Lesotho in Joburg or wherever. They will. And also, there was another game in that group. I think it was yesterday. I think the Zimbabwe-Rwanda game, which was a draw. So there's been 4 teams playing, all on 1 point. If South Africa can beat Benin, then they're in the driving seat already. That is such a poor result. I can't believe that happened between Nigeria and Lesotho. I've got to laugh because I'm glad someone did worse than us today. There was heartbreak for Gabon. Well, there was heartbreak for Kenya against Gabon, I should say, because Kenya led in that game for a long spell in the game. Well, about 20 minutes, but the 15 minutes for half-time made it seem longer. Dennis Bouanga coming up with the goods, and Gabon beating Kenya by 2-1 again. Kenya, another one of those nations that was banned from the AFCON qualifiers. I bet they wish they were banned from the World Cup qualifiers based off of that performance. Or longer, quiet today. Gabon, no. Aubameyang, no. Lamina, they've won. But it's a big ask for them to finish ahead of Ivory Coast. And Sudan and Togo played out a 1-1 draw. Probably not a good result for both sides, considering Congo are off the mark with a win and Senegal are hosting South Sudan, which could be anything. Mo Issa, who's been very good in the Football League in England this season, I think he's got a brother that's very good as well, scoring from the penalty spot. Togo equalising, but I think even Togo won't be happy with that result. Both sides in that group will be disappointed with that one. So a really interesting day. Apart from the Egypt game, the games are a lot closer, likewise, with the one we watched today than people thought. Belmadi will have the Mozambique game to prove people wrong. People won't mind this because we've won and he had to rest the players. Mozambique is the last game, probably, players are going to have to impress before he names the squad for the Africa Cup of Nations. Play like we did today and we won't be doing very well again in the Africa Cup of Nations. And as I said yesterday, it could have well have been his last home game as Algeria manager because a bad AFCON. And I tell you now, guys, he will be at the door. So let's look forward to the next set of fixtures. Cape Verde taking on Angola later tonight. That's going to be an interesting derby, I think. That'll be a good game. And then, what a day of action it is tomorrow. Lots of games to look forward to tomorrow. Comoros, Central African Republic. Eswatini playing Libya. Guinea, Uganda in Algeria's group. That is a game that will be played in Morocco. So Guinea, because of the military situation there, the military coup, whatever, can't play at home. Guinea, Uganda in Morocco. Mozambique have already not dropped points. We're hoping that Guinea will be dropping points in that one. Ghana, Madagascar, although I think Ghana won't really care what happens in Kumasi. They'll just be happy that Nigeria drew. Liberia taking on Malawi. Zambia taking on Congo. Burkina Faso taking on Guinea-Bissau again. That'll be in Marrakesh, not in El Jadida because it's been far too foggy there. Cameroon and Ivory Coast both playing beaches. Cameroon playing Mauritius and Ivory Coast playing Seychelles. Mali are playing Chad and Tunisia are playing Sao Tome and Principe. And once again, that could genuinely be anything. We'll be looking at those games tomorrow. But the bottom line is Algeria have bounced back from the Cameroon World Cup game with a World Cup qualification win. Winning breeds confidence. We'll be looking to head to the Mozambique game later in the week. But where did Algeria go from here? We've won. We've got 2 strikers that can score goals, and neither of them are called Ait-Nouri. But the goals we scored, 1 set piece with a header, 1 own goal, and a volley. Fans would have been wanting to see more, considering they were there all day. Algeria off the mark. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll see you next time.